When was the last time that you thought about the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl? I'm sure you've buried it deep inside your brain, so you never think about it again. However, we're going to talk about it right now because Charvarius Ward joined Eric Armstead on his podcast, and they brought up the Super Bowl and how obviously Charvarius was on the Chiefs at that time. And so it becomes an interesting conversation because obviously we know as 49er fans, it was a very difficult period of time for us as we thought that game was in the bag. We were going to be Super Bowl champions and all that good stuff. But we know how it went down and we know what ultimately happened. So it hurts, but we get some really interesting insight into how the Chiefs game planned against the San Francisco 49ers and what their ultimate goal was and what their thoughts were heading into this game. And it's pretty interesting because it's not very often that you get to hear on the other side of it, right? Like typically we hear from all the 49ers players, coaches, etc. But, you know, we're not totally tapped into what the Chiefs are doing and what they're thinking. So when Charvarius Ward is talking about it, he reveals what their number one plan was to stop the 49ers offense. And it's probably what we all assumed going into it, but he confirms what it was. And take a listen right here, and then we'll react to it on the other side. I'm not sure you're going to be surprised by what their game plan was, but take a listen right here.
You start off there. I feel like there's a lot of good corners that have came through Dallas, these past years in the league, but you don't stay there, and then you go on to Kansas City,
right,
and have an amazing career there.
Yeah. Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl champ.
Yeah. I didn't even. I gotta include that on the intro. Super Bowl champ.
Yeah, you already know it. Super Bowl champ. We beat the 49ers, man. It was a crazy game.
I think that's why I'm a little salt about it, but definitely gotta include that in there. Super Bowl champ, Mooney Ward for sure. That's got to be. That's probably one of the best. One of the worst days for me in my football career, but one of the best days for you. Talk about that, man.
Most definitely, man. It was an amazing experience. Like you went through the experience as well. Like I the one just won the game, but it was a good feeling, man. Like it felt like a movie. Like that whole week, you know what I'm saying. Even being in the stadium under them bright lights, like the whole world watching. You know what I'm saying. Like, and we won. You know what I'm saying. Like I'm gonna die Super Bowl champion. Like I'm gonna be forever tied into the Kansas City organization because you know I said I won the Super Bowl with them. So. It's definitely amazing. Coming from where I come from to win a Super Bowl, man, I'd have never thought.
Yeah. I remember Super Bowl week was, it was crazy. They had us doing so much, but it was definitely, even though we took the L to y'all, it was still a memorable experience being part of that game. And even playing in the game, you like, dang, every snap.
Every snap. You know everybody. You know everybody back home watching too. Like, hey, you try to put over for them. You don't want to make no mistakes. You know they can be cloudy on Twitter. You get burned or something like that. So you gotta lock in like extra that Super Bowl. You got people from overseas. Everybody in the world eyes on that game.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
How'd y'all feel? I ain't really talked to none of y'all. After the game, but how'd y'all feel like in that game? It was a hard fought game and we were winning, down the stretch, and then y'all came back and won. Like, how were y'all feeling during that game?
Man, going into the game, we really thought we was gonna beat the brakes off y'all. Cause I mean, me personally, like I didn't know like the 49ers like defensive line was like that cold.
Yeah,
like it was you, Buck, D Ford, and a young Bosa. You know what I'm saying? Y'all boys was cold. I ain't know nothing about Fred at the time. Them boys came out like. Y'all boys came out flying around.
We did.
Y'all were hitting. Kyle Shanahan was dialing them plays up. I was like, what the hell he calling, bro? Because every play you got somebody motioning to the left, running to the right, but the ball going up the middle, like all type of misdirection and everything like that. So when the game started, y'all kind of hit us in the mouth. I think y'all was up like 10, 20, not 20, but like 10 or something.
We was up 10. We was up 10 with like 6 minutes left.
Yeah, 10 with like 6 minutes left. We was like, damn, like these boys really finna beat us. You know what I'm saying? But Pat put the team on his back, man, and we turned up. We followed the lead.
And defensively down the stretch too, y'all made some adjustments and got some stops too.
Yeah, our game plan was to put the ball in Jimmy's hands, man. I hate to say that, but our game plan was kind of like to put the ball in Jimmy's hands. But Kyle Shanahan, he was just calling run out the run, and for some reason in the fourth quarter they started running the ball. And you know, we kind of took over a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much about it because I'm part of the organization now. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so
I feel you, but I mean,
but like, we going into the game, we was extremely confident. But once y'all came out doing all that, what y'all was doing, we was like, damn, these boys kind of good. You know what I'm saying? We got to like man up and throw it up. And that's kind of like what we did in the fourth quarter, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like, you know, you guys were obviously a great team.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a hard fought, you know, game and a tough battle for us. You know, we had, you know, back then, you know, obviously Pat and Tyreek,
Sammy Watkins,
Sammy
Travis
Watkins,
Kelce. We had
so we knew it was going to be one of them. But like, you know, to be honest, like throughout the game, we was like, bro, we stopping all this. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all was scrapping them boys.
Yeah, and then the momentum just shifted. You know, down the stretch, and you know, like you said, Pat did some Patrick Mahomes type stuff, and ended up with the dub.
That boy amazing, man. That boy cold.
Sent us home sad, boy. But I'm happy for you though.
We trying to go back this year, big dog.
Yeah, we got another op. We got another op for sure. I think we got a team that can really get it done.
You know, it's really tough for Jimmy Garoppolo. He seems to be catching a lot of strays lately, just by natural comparison. Obviously, with all the conversations about Brock Purdy, where there's a natural kind of compare and contrast that goes on, just because we had so many years of Jimmy, and we're comparing it to Brock Purdy now, and et cetera, et cetera. But Charvarius Ward straight up said, and obviously he was trying to be, he knew what he was saying, and he was trying to be nice about it. But basically what he was saying, their entire game plan was to make Jimmy beat them. And because they knew that if they were to do that, that the game would probably go in their direction. However, the 49ers came out and were playing really well. Jimmy was playing really well. It's crazy. Jimmy was playing really well in the first half of that game. I think you would say he was playing better than Patrick Mahomes in the first half of that Super Bowl. So it's crazy. Obviously that the 49ers lost that game. It's just amazing, the butterfly effect to come from that game. What if Jimmy wins that Super Bowl? What if he's the MVP? Like, what if? What happens in 2020? Is Jimmy still the quarterback now? Like, how much more leeway and how much more patience would people have with Jimmy Garoppolo and his injury history and what he was going through in 2020, right? Like, if he had just won a Super Bowl. So it's just crazy, all the things that has come from, that game, that situation, and how everything's evolved since then. But I just found it interesting hearing Charvarius Ward talk about it, talking about how, they thought they were going to beat the brakes off us. He didn't know about our defense. Obviously, he's not tasked with scouting the defense. He's tasked with scouting the offense. And based on what he saw, the 49ers were fresh off a 4-touchdown, one of the most legendary 220-yard rushing yard performances from Raheem Mostert in the NFC Championship game, where they demolished the Green Bay Packers at home. I was at that game. And so I think the mindset for the Chiefs was stop Raheem, stop the 49ers offense, because if you make them one-dimensional and you make Jimmy Garoppolo beat you, you're in a great spot. And I think that's been the game plan a lot of the way is that's why we always see stacked boxes against Jimmy. I talk about it all the time. I've talked about it recently with an interview that Deebo Samuel did, talking about how defenses play the 49ers differently now, and that has to do with the quarterback. Because although Jimmy Garoppolo was a winning quarterback and, he put the 49ers in a lot of positions to win games, he also put the 49ers in a lot of positions to lose games. And I think that's where, a lot of people have, issue with Jimmy. It's like, we all love Jimmy when he was winning, but then he would just throw those unfortunate picks or make, not great decisions or challenge or push the ball downfield. So it allowed the defenses to play really close to the line of scrimmage. They would walk the safeties down. They would patrol the slant routes over the middle of the field, and they would let everything else go. And so it was a two-pronged issue, because not only were they able to bring safeties down and patrol the middle of the field, but the safeties were there already to help stop the run game. And that's why Deebo Samuel emerged as the wide back, because they had to be able to hit the edges with speed, because they lost Raheem Mostert later on, in 2021 in the first game of the year. And so that's when Deebo had to translate to being a wide back. So the point being is, interesting perspective, because I think it's something that I've always thought and believed that that's exactly how opposing defenses should and would game plan against the 49ers offense with Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback. And, Charvarius Ward basically said, yeah, we wanted the ball in Jimmy's hands, because we knew if it was in his hands, there's a good shot we're winning that game. And, ultimately they did. They won the game, and here we are later, still trying to get that sixth ring, the elusive sixth ring. But we might have a shot at it this year. We're definitely going to have a shot at it this year with how stacked this team is and how well they're performing. But just wanted to dust up your PTSD, I guess, on this morning, afternoon. Again, interesting insight. So I figured I'd share it with you. You can find the full interview. I'm going to link it in the description. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.